Hi there. This review is going to be shown a little bit different than my normal reviews, and it's going to start with this little bit of monologue, and then we're going to go straight into the Ross Rise review scoreboard, because I want to show that the scoring system accounts for my biasness, I think, and we'll talk about the score when I show the score. But I wanted to say that the motorbike you're about to see, I am not complimentary about at all. And I say that because I'm very grateful for the motorbike dealers, and in this particularly Luke at Fraser's of Gloucester, letting me use their bikes to be able to film these reviews on. But I have to say, the point of this channel for me was I wanted to be as honest as I could be. For someone who's a bit of a motorbike nerd, really, and has been for the last 38 years, I guess, that this is truly one of the worst motorbikes I've ever sat on. In as much that it makes no sense at all, and its very existence is an abomination to all other motorbikes. In fact, the fact that it exists by the manufacturer that makes some amazing motorbikes that you can buy today, and this one appears on along its lineup, it blows my tiny little mind. Now, obviously, opinions are like arseholes, and everyone's got one, and this arsehole has this opinion. So, with that in mind, here's the score. Cheers. So, here is the Ross Rise Review scoreboard for the Suzuki V-Strom 1050 DE on a 2024. Firstly, in the weekend category, styling, I give this a 1. It's not a good looking bike. They've never been good looking bikes, and they've never aged well. I can't imagine this one will be any different. For acceleration, it's no slouch, and it gets a 9. That's a 2.5 second time to 60, what it's listed at. Handling is a 5. It handles perfectly well, middle of the road really. Same with torque, that's another 5. It's torquey enough. I am surprised that this engine doesn't put out more torque, and yeah, I think it could be more punchy for the size of the engine, and it's not a cool bike, at least in my opinion, to say the least. So that gives it a total weekend score of 21. Now for daily, this is where this bike should do better. So features, it comes as a 6, so it's relatively well spec'd. For comfort, that's a 7. As I say in the review, the seat is the hard side of comfortable, but it's not an unpleasant place to be by any means. Miles per gallon is about average, so that's fine. And practicality, you can get it with panniers and everything else, so that is a 9 out of 10. And cost, it is a lot of money, I think, for what it is, but the way the rating works out is coming out at a 3, and that's between, as tested, I think about 14,000, which gives it a total daily score of 30 and a combined Ross Rise review score of 51. Looking at what it's near, or at least its competition, similar category, the F800 GS, obviously it's below that. The F900 GS, it's below that. The 1300 GS is below that. It scores better than the Himalayan, as you'd expect, and the 310. I would be interested to take some more bikes out in this category to see how it competes. But yeah, not a moment of glory for Suzuki, considering how high the Suzuki GSX 8S sits, which is available to buy from Fraser's as well as we speak. Anyway, cheers. Here's the review. It is incredibly tall, unnecessarily tall. I'll be interested to see how it comes out in the scoring, because the scoring takes my opinion out. And I think this is fucking awful. My guess, it's going to score about 53. That's my guess. Knowing the criteria. Shit, the bed. That was close. The first. And go. To be fair, the brakes were quite good there. But, like I said, the engine's good. The gearbox is fine. The clutch is fine. The brakes are fine. The screen is fine. So, the engine's quite punchy, I suppose. It sounds quite nice. There's a little bit of a flat spot. It seems in a couple of gears, around sort of 5,000 revs, which would become irritating, I think, because that's going to be your overtaking overtaking revs really. The ergonomics of the bike are quite strange. It's almost, my legs are too parallel. I feel like my legs are too high. The actual seating position isn't too bad. The seat is on the firm side of comfortable. Not terrible. The dashboard is the same screen from the GSX-S 8S, which is nice and clear. The windscreen, I don't know what it's providing in terms of wind relief. I'm hearing a lot of noise and I feel like it's coming round the sides. The handguards are doing nothing. Yeah, that may a little bit lower down, that punch is there, sort of 3,500 revs, which is not terrible. That feels quite nice actually. That was very stable. What I just noticed there going round a roundabout, that normally big twins in low gear high revs feel shuddery, and this didn't, so that's a plus for it, for definite. A little bit of a fourth gear overtake, it's not terrible. It makes no sense as a motorcycle for the money that it costs, considering what else is on the market. In fact, it could be free and it would go, nope, that doesn't make any sense. If this fell out of a box of cornflakes, I would put it back in the box. So here we have my first experience of the Suzuki V-Strom 1050DE in black. Now, let's go through this methodically. Seat is incredibly high. I'll show you the seat height in a minute. It's the tallest bike I've ridden so far, ever. The seat is on the firm side of comfortable. The engine's got a nice little burble to it, which will start up in a minute. So it's a 1050 V twin. Quite a capable engine, really low down, but sort of mid revs, it kind of runs out of puff, it felt like. The screen is the same screen that we had on the other Suzuki, which is very nice, nice and clear. This one has got cruise control, which is a weird setting. It's between that button and then these buttons, which is a bit insane. That windscreen, it seems to create a load of dirty air around the side, so you're getting a lot of noise and not a lot of protection needed from the handguards. The mirrors are fine. The plastics seem fine. The seating position, as I'll mention in the ride, that my knees seem very high up. That chain's seen better days, but it's a demo. This is about £14,000. It's got some crash bars, which I'll come on to that in a minute. And it's got this headlight. How anybody can have anything to say about the 1300 GS headlight compared to the 1250 when this headlight on a motorbike exists. It's a car headlight. It's beyond awful. So as I said, I think this bike priced about 14,000. You can get the Tour version, which is about 15.5 with panniers. And I don't know anybody who would do that. I'm just going to check something, and I'll be back in a minute, and I'm going to show you what I've checked on screen. Yeah. So I've just checked on Auto Trader, and I'll show you on the screen now. Today, you can go to Dick Lovett Motorrad in Bristol and buy a R1250 GS with full luggage on a 71 plate with 4,000 miles for the same price as one of these with luggage. A bike that is better in so many, in every conceivable way. Now, the ground's dropping away from me from the right a little bit. But this is by no means an extraordinary piece of ground, and I am tiptoe on one and nothing on the other. Yeah, I can Danny Pedrosa it and get 1 foot down. So normally I film the sort of sum up review the day I've done the review and I've come home or I've got back to the dealership. But for this bike, I spent all day and all night thinking about it because of how critical I'm being. But this motorbike, it doesn't make any sense to me. Everything is fundamentally okay about the bike, but it's wrapped in such a terrible wrapper, and as a package it's so awful. I just can't see who's going to buy that bike without regretting it. And if you've got one of these and you love it, I'm sorry. And if you just bought one of these, I'm sorry. Or if you know someone who's got one, I'm sorry. And if this is your first big bike, firstly, you're very, very tall. Congratulations. And I'm also sorry. Here's to some better bikes in the future. Cheers.